Welcome back, everybody. So now we have part 2 of the Michael Tellinger story. Today he's going to be sharing showing some of the artifacts he's actually found at some of these amazing sites around South Africa, and some more information about the energy and some of the kind of technological magic that these people who lived here thousands of years ago may have been working with. So it's going to be a revelatory talk, I think, this one. So please keep a beady eye on this one. It's going to be amazing. So please give a warm welcome to Michael Tellinger.
Thanks, everybody. Welcome back. Right, I've got a lot of information. I'm going to do this really at a pace. Also, because I know that sitting and listening to this kind of stuff can get a little bit overwhelming. So I'm going to try and entertain you at the same time, to the best of my ability. Yes. We learned that there are at least 10 million mysterious stone circular ruins in southern Africa. I showed you the evidence of that. That forces us to rethink everything we know about our human history. The word mythology, actually, in its original form, means sworn testimony of past events, not imaginary or made-up stuff. And then just a list of other things that we learned. We know less about our human origins than is permissible by the laws of physics. I showed you that. 10 to the minus 34, Planck's constant. We know less than that. And that is a very important thing for us to consider. These are not simple things for us to wrap our heads around and our minds around. History of planet Earth is mysterious, far more mysterious than we could ever possibly imagine. And you've seen a lot of information by the various speakers about that. Everything is connected. Frequency is the backdrop to the universe, and frequency seems to be this weird source of energy that drives everything so that we can actually measure it and detect it in the electromagnetic universe, as we call it. Everything is connected through this invisible magical thing called consciousness. The evidence of antiquity is all around us. I think you've seen enough evidence of that from the various presenters and speakers here yesterday and in your lives before. Evidence of advanced ancient technology is all around us, and I'm going to share some of that with you today. Now, just to remind you that some of the ancient artifacts that we believe were energetic devices and energy-generating devices, here's a very interesting photograph showing some interesting waves, magnetic waves coming out of the Great Pyramid. Now, there's technology, photographic technology, that you can do all these wonderful things with. We'll be doing much more of this at the ruins and at Adam's calendar in the weeks to come. And then I'm going to drop a bombshell on you. How many geologists in the audience today? Show of hands. Okay. You'll just have to take my word for this. Stonehenge is a lot older than anyone's ever possibly imagined. Much, much older. And I dropped this on the people at Megalithomania last year, just to show you some geological evidence that I believe irrefutably shows that we're dealing something extremely old, not just a few thousand years old, but hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years old. Now, for this, you need to accept certain things, and that is, we need to accept that stone lying flat over there used to be the twin of this one here. Apparently, we get told that that's what it was, and they were joined by a lintel across the top. Then that one fell over and broke in 3 places. Well, when I walked in there, I was shocked to see this because I work with rocks every day of my life, and I know what a fresh break looks like. I know what a break looks like that's a few years old and a few hundred years old and so forth. When you look at the break in that stone there, this is sarsen stone, apparently extremely hard. The erosion on that break is not something that would have happened in a few hundred, even in a few thousand years. So from a geological perspective, the stones do not lie to us. And you can see that we're dealing with something that's taken an extremely long time to erode. So wrap your heads around that, and I would put that in a few 100,000 years at least to get to that kind of level of erosion. The next very interesting phenomenon is this particular lintel. Now, no self-respecting builder or architect will put a lintel up that's got a crack in it. They dragged this from 300 miles away or whatever and put it up there. My guess is that that lintel was intact when it was put up there. Look at the erosion around that crack. That is spectacular. That's not something, that erosion did not happen in a few thousand years. That's an extremely long period of exposure that kind of erosion can happen. My take on Stonehenge, we're dealing with something that's 500,000 years old. do with that information what you want. Remember, yesterday I started off by saying, don't believe a word I say. Take the information and go and do your own research, and then reach your own conclusions. I'm just presenting you with some interesting facts and some theories and conclusions that I've reached by putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Sometimes I like to tell people I do what the guys in CSI do. I just follow the clues and follow the evidence, and then I reach my conclusions based on the clues and the evidence. And there is really no other way. And right now, what I'm sharing with you is some of my conclusions and the evidence that I'm finding. Right. The other important thing is that what we left off yesterday, what happened to all these millions of stone ruins that were scattered throughout southern Africa? Well, remember yesterday you saw compelling evidence from Graham and from Andrew about this event called the flood, around 12,000 BC, in that time period, more or less. It seems that all ancient civilizations have a flood in their culture. They all talk about a giant flood that destroyed not only their civilization, but probably the world. Well, I believe it was that same flood that around that same period came across southern Africa and wiped out this technologically advanced gold mining civilization. And you can see it by the amounts of sediment on all the stone ruins that you see. We only see a fraction of the stone ruins, the circular stone ruins and the roads, the channels that connect them, the terraces. We only see a small fraction that have been exposed. The rest of it is still covered under the soil. And here are just some pieces of evidence that show you that. Here's another beautiful example of the sedimentation along the mountaintops and the sides of the mountain. Remember that some of the best preserved examples of these stone structures are on tops of the mountains. And there's been reports from people all over the place that they found seashells, sea sands being found in there, and fossilized fish in these stone circles. And that tells a story in itself. So, all of this activity in southern Africa is all about gold. And this is the one very important thing. Human history cannot be separated from our obsession with gold. In Genesis 2, when Adam was alone on earth, now you've got to think about this. There's no Eve. She has not yet been fashioned from his rib. Adam is alone, this dude walking around, don't know what he was doing, but God comes to him and says, hey, there's a place called Havilah, and it's a really cool place. There's a lot of the land is good, there's a lot of water, and by the way, buddy, there's gold. Now, you got to ask yourself, why would God want to tell Adam that there's gold in this place called Havilah? And I want you to go there because I want you to dig it for me, you bugger. Something like that. And wherever there are gold mines, there are stone circles. And that seems to be the pattern wherever you go throughout all of southern Africa. And when you start realizing how many of these gold mines we actually have, this whole thing becomes absolutely amazing. This is just an aerial shot of some of these gold mines I'm going to show you now. There are two different kinds of gold mines we're dealing with here. The adit mines that go into the side of the mountains, high up, normally near the crest of the mountain, in the rocky areas. And then obviously the normal gold mines that go down into the ground, which we probably won't see because of the flood and the sedimentation. So let's first see if we can recognize some. These are some of the examples of the added gold mines that have been recently opened, and I believe that wherever they're gold mines, they, as you can see, let me just show you this slide again. You can see stone circles, terraces, stone circles, all connected together via terraces, and all along that ridge there, that's where you get all these gold mines. This is what they look like. Some of them, or many of them, have been reopened in the 1800s with the gold rush we had in South Africa. Just some examples. The day that I went up there, I walked through at least 30 of these. And then for those of you who like orbs, there's a little treat. Inquisitive fellas. In 2005, a geological company in Mpumalanga, South Africa, started a survey on behalf of I believe it's Anglo-American, or one of the big mining companies, because they felt they wanted to close up these gold mines, these adit mines, to prevent illegal gold mining. Well, they counted for 5 years, and in the mid-2010, they stopped counting when they realized it was going to be financially unrealistic.